Hi everyone, welcome to our IDFA Immunodeficiency Insights webinar, focusing today on exploring self-care and in particular supporting the journey of carers. However, all members can benefit from reflecting on ways to improve their self-care for more life balance. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. So before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands where I am and the traditional custodians of the lands where you are, and pay my respects to all elders past, present and future, and those emerging in our communities. I also extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who gather with us through this webinar tonight and also through the recording later on. So again, welcome to the Immunodeficiency Foundation of Australia Immunodeficiency Insight webinars. So each month we look forward to bringing you valuable informational education webinars on lots of different topics to support our members. And the Immunodeficiency Foundation of Australia is a member-based organisation that represents people living with primary and secondary immunodeficiencies. We're a national peak body with more than 2,000 members, and our vision is a future where primary and secondary immunodeficiencies are diagnosed and treated early, with affected people supported by clinicians, community, government to allow optimal quality of life. And as Australia's peak organisation, our strategic priorities are education and awareness, care and support and building community, advocacy and driving change. And just to let everyone know, we'll be recording this webinar and sharing this recording on the IDFA webpage. So please enjoy today's session, and we'll be going through Wendy Hill from Carers New South Wales, who's first up, will be setting the scene from the carer's perspective and outlining some available carer supports. And then we've got Letitia Grant from Developmental Disability WA, who'll be helping you, I guess, reflect a little bit about your self-care journey so far and approaches to further support your mental well-being. And we'll also launch some new life balance resource tools to help members self-care. So I hope you enjoy what we have to offer today. Our first session for this evening is to set the scene and really talk about key aspects of self-care and also sort of accessing what's out there in terms of carer supports. So Wendy is a registered nurse, and she's got significant experiences across a wide variety of areas, including community, aged care and health settings. And she's the Education Officer for Carers New South Wales and provides information sessions and workshops for informal, which are family and friend carers. And she's very passionate about building carer knowledge and skills and confidence. And Carers New South Wales is the peak organisation for carers, and is part of the National Carer Network and a member of Carers Australia, with the vision of an Australia that values and supports all carers. So thank you, Wendy, for joining us today. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Estella. Today I'll be just walking you through just a quick reminder on who we're talking about when we're talking about carers. I'll be sharing some wellbeing resources, as well as the direct links to all of the resources that we'll be sharing with you today. I'll be talking about where to access additional information and support if you need it, and the role of Carer Gateway. So just a reminder, when we're talking about carers, we are talking about informal family members or friends. You could be supporting that person for any reason. You don't need to be related to the person. You don't need to be living with the person to be considered a carer. We have carers as young as 8 in Australia, up to over 100. But I think it's really important to reflect on the fact that a lot of carers, at least 40% of carers in Australia, are living with a disability, and a further 1/3 are living with their own health conditions. So often carers are juggling quite a few things at the same time. They also could be caring for more than one person at a time as well. So I think that's really important to bear in mind as we walk through the resources today. So well-being, people throw around lots of words around health and well-being and self-care. And I just wanted to remind people that we're talking about our total complex state of our physical, mental, emotional, and social health factors. It's not just about the absence of disease, and lots of different things can impact on our well-being, including any health conditions, our living circumstances, our relationships, our environment, our sense of connection, and whether we have support when we need it, and even our work, our study, and our finances. So, well-being can really be described about how we feel about ourselves and our lives at any given moment. Lots of times when I'm talking to carers, I think that a lot of time people fall into trouble if they're needing support and it's out of hours, or they can't get access to their GP or their network of support, so their treatment team, their specialist. So we just got some general advice to remind people always call 000 in an emergency. If you're not sure if it quantifies an emergency or not, I wouldn't worry too much because Triple O are really good at providing the triage and the support that you need. They will redirect you if they don't believe that your concern warrants an ambulance, for instance. We also have Health Direct, which is available 24 hours. There's a registered nurse available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, they can provide triage for us, help us troubleshoot any problems. They can also look out for an urgent care clinic and help us find the location of the closest one to us. So if it is an evening, if it's a weekend, a public holiday, if our GP is closed, they can support us with that. And also there is 136, which is bulk billed after hours GP services. They are usually available evenings, Saturdays after 12, Sundays and public holidays. Again, they might not have a GP that can do a home visit in your area, but they may be able to arrange a telehealth appointment for you. So just to know that you've got those options available to you to provide that advice if you need it. Eating well. Now, I know when I'm talking to people, we all know what to do when it comes to eating well. However, life can get really, really busy, and sometimes we're making sacrifices, we're doing things on the run, we've got appointments that run late, we're juggling multiple priorities. It can be difficult to eat healthy, find time for ourselves to invest in our own nutrition. So if people are looking for any tips, things like stocking up the pantry, healthy snacks to throw in your handbag or your backpack on the way out the door, a reminder of the 5 food groups. Um, I've just got a link there to some resources for you. So often, our nutrition can go out the door, and it's a really important factor to keeping up our energy levels, helping to regulate our emotions, and help us keep up with the pace of life as well. Again, with sleep and rest, there's nothing worse than telling people that they need to get better sleep and sleep more, particularly if your caring situation doesn't really lend itself to getting, your standard 8 hour sleep per night. So there's tips around things like sleep hygiene, things we can do to support better sleep and rest. And it might be things like reducing screen time, because that can stimulate us when we go to bed. Trying not to sleep next to the mobile phone unless we need to for emergency situations. It could even be things like trying to go to bed at the same time, trying to reduce stimulants towards the end of the day, reducing caffeine and alcohol intake and things like that. And getting checked out if we're still not sleeping well. Is it stress related? Is it because our minds are so clogged up? Or is there a physical reason for it? So, actually checking in with the GP and ruling out a health condition that might be contributing. Staying active, again, it can be really difficult to squeeze exercise into your day, but we talk a little bit about incidental exercise. So, how can you build exercise in to something that you're already doing throughout the day? And recognizing a lot of things you're doing could be quite physical already, such as housework, running around to appointments, gardening, um, mowing the lawn, those types of things. It might be that the person you're caring for has lots of appointments and you're waiting for the therapy to be finished or the appointment. Can you pack your joggers? Can you go for a walk yourself? and make use of that time. And knowing that ideally we'd be getting 30 minutes of exercise most days of the week, can you break it up into 10-minute blocks? You don't have to do it all in one lump sum. So maybe you'll be trying to squeeze in a bit of stretching in the morning, maybe a walk around lunchtime, a bit of yoga or something towards the evening. Maybe you've got a pet that needs walking. All of these things can add up to help increase the amount of exercise we manage from day to day. And then we talked a little bit about mental health and staying connected. So this is just a reminder again that there is a lot of support available. So apart from our usual connection with family, with friends, our treatment team, our carer support groups, there are a number of specialist supports. So I'm just sharing the contact numbers again in case anyone needs that additional support. And we've got things like grief lines. So they can support for lots of different things. We might be grieving over a diagnosis, grieving about how life isn't really working out the way we expected it to. Maybe you've needed to give up work to juggle caring responsibilities. Maybe you've lost a pet. It doesn't really matter why we're grieving. That is a national number and that can support anyone at any time. And then finally, I wanted to talk about Carer Gateway. So Carer Gateway is a national service. It is available across Australia. It is really designed for early intervention and crisis management. So think of it as a short-term sort of episodic service that may be available at a time of need. There's a number of things Carer Gateway can offer. There's a telephone number and a website. Anytime you're calling, that telephone number will automatically connect you in with your local Carer Gateway service provider. And that can be different depending on whereabouts in Australia you might be living. So if you're living in Western Australia, for instance, it's one service provider. But in New South Wales, there are 4 different lead agencies coordinating services on behalf of Carer Gateway. That can provide a lot of information, things like carer payments, what subsidies, payments, allowances you might be able to access, how to find a carer support group. There's some online information around planning ahead, emergency planning, the importance of self-care and respite. There are some little self-directed learning packages as well. So if you wanted to focus more on improving your sleep, for instance, or understanding some of those legal processes and documents like power of attorney and public guardian. There's also a range of in-person or face-to-face supports. We are aware that you're supporting someone with an immunodeficiency. You might be really nervous about having lots of people come into the home. So it's important to know that Carer Gateway has alternative supports and ways in which they may be able to assist. So potentially it's peer support where you're connecting with people online. It could be a counselling service. Um, it might even be tailored support. And this can come in a range of different ways. And tailored support is really when Carer Gateway have a chat to you to understand all the different ways that caring is impacting on your family. You might have several carers in the household or in your immediate circle. One person might be providing the bulk of the caring, but you might have a sibling, for instance, or a younger child that's also providing assistance and taking on more responsibility. Carer Gateway can help you explore how that person can be supported as well. So maybe respite's not suitable, but potentially a delivered meal service might help. Or if there's a younger carer, help with tutoring or driving lessons, or help to pay for school supplies. So those tailored supports really are an opportunity to reflect on what your unique family might need to support you in your caring journey. And there's also some coaching. So if you're working towards a particular goal and you'd like some assistance, if it's related to your caring responsibilities, your education, or your employment, the Carer Gateway can connect you in with a carer coach. You might need assistance to navigate the NDIS. Maybe it's to help organise aged care services. Maybe it's to help set boundaries and focus on more time for yourself and getting that life balance. So you might be able to connect in with a carer coach to support you with that. Carer Gateway does also offer emergency respite, and usually they'll be talking to you about your personal circumstances. So if respite is a service that you're already receiving from a government organisation, they may be able to broker for a known worker to come in that knows your circumstances, has done all of the training, and you have confidence that they're able to come in and provide the right support for you and your family. So I just wanted to give you that overview. And as I mentioned, it's a national service. It's for anyone in Australia. And no matter where you live, Carer Gateway will be having similar conversations and talking through a similar range of services and supports that may be helpful to you. And finally, I've got some information on Carers New South Wales. It's worth noting that there is a Carers Association in every state and territory. There's also Carers Australia that are based in Canberra. We all offer a different range of supports and programs depending on our funding. So I've got listed here some national supports that may be helpful if you're looking for additional support around health and wellbeing. So we do oversee the National Carer Survey every 2 years, and we've had over 10,000 carers share their experiences with us. And we've got some data there on what people have shared around the ways that caring is impacting on them, people's experiences with service systems, experience with cost of living, other pressures and concerns that they've shared with us. And we do share them with government bodies and with policymakers and funding bodies to help put forward a carer voice when it comes to decision making. There are also a number of resources designed for carers. There are some wellbeing tips on different things. We also have some online videos as well, and there's some free education sessions and workshops. So anything that's national in nature, you're very welcome to join. So we do a Navigating My Aged Care, for instance, to talk about aged care services. And because it's Commonwealth funding, it's suitable for anyone in Australia that might want to jump in and listen to that session. So we've just got the links there to our website if any of that is of interest to you. And really, my takeaway messages today are to remember that your health and wellbeing is important. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you nourish yourself, you're then going to have more energy to invest in others. We have a lot of carers tell us that if they're able to plan ahead, it can take the pressure off, feel like you have a lot more control in your day, and provide more time for your own self care. And please reach out if you need additional assistance.
Thank you, Wendy. It's particularly good to know about the tailored assessments and support service through Carers Gateway, which is probably something that might be new to a few people. And interesting, you also mentioned that counselling services are available through Carer Gateway because not all state and territory organisations now offer that at all. So it's, so
That
that's
has transitioned to Carer Gateway. That's why it's not being offered on a state level anymore. And it can be delivered in a number of different ways. So it can be telephone, it could be in person, it could be telehealth. And some areas are even exploring group counselling if that might be suitable for people.
I guess I'm thinking more particularly important in crisis situations like, diagnosis and a lot of overwhelm that perhaps carers can have with a lot of medical information and just a lot of things coming at them, and particularly social isolation, not knowing who to speak to, perhaps members that are living rurally, and even just members that are, feeling marginalised, perhaps from, I guess, their own backgrounds, and even financial hardship. I mean, they're all areas that would be very relevant to our members. So just encouraging everyone to sort of think about Carers Gateway and particularly the counselling service there and the tailored assessment that the officers there can provide to then work out, what kind of package would be important to support you. So thanks again, Wendy, for sharing all of that. Very
Thanks,
appreciated.
Estella.
So next we have Michael Gavin, who is a carer member who has also kindly offered to share his insights, and Michael will be sharing his story about self-care. So Michael lives in Western Sydney in New South Wales and cares for his two sons. He has supported his son Tyson, aged 11, who was diagnosed with a primary immunodeficiency at 9 months, and throughout his bone marrow transplant journey in 2017. So, seeing the support provided to oncology transplant patients, Michael made it his mission to give back and support the Starlight Foundation and IDFA to help carers like himself, particularly fathers undertaking bone marrow transplant journeys that are alongside their kids. He is self-employed and passionate about always making time for outdoor fishing and camping, which he enjoys with his sons to support his own and his son's well-being. So I'll just hand over to you, Michael.
Sure. Yeah, hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to address this in this webinar. Just want to talk a little bit about my carer journey, I guess. Yeah, Tyson was diagnosed at 9 months old, like Stella said. It was very unexpected to all of us. First time parent, bit of a shock to the system. Didn't know anybody that had a rare disease or had a bone marrow transplant. So it was a big decision to make and a big process that we all sort of went through. But yeah, it was just about getting the right help, I guess, and the right medical team involved, and finding out ways to cope with the news and the anxiety of it all was all very overwhelming. But I think Tyson's a testament to how tough children are, and that you've got to just have faith in your team, and like was mentioned earlier, I think staying off Google is probably a very positive thing, and try and share your story with people that actually know and have experience in the field and stuff in common. Um, but yeah, basically you realize the person you are going through something like that, and realize how resilient and how strong you can actually be. We kept a strong focus on trying to keep Tyson's world as normal as possible. Um, Even little things like doing the quizzes, the Starlight quizzes on the TV while he was in hospital, just to keep his mind active, and all the therapists keeping him like playing mute. There's a musical therapist, and another therapist used to come around and paint with him and building Lego, and yeah, I think, they're all very key factors in keeping his mind off the task at hand. Good nutrition, good food was a big thing as well. A lot of home cooked meals, and he was lucky enough to qualify for a special diet menu while he was on ward. So yeah, he's always been very good on the tooth. He's always been a good eater. So we were lucky in that aspect. But yeah, I believe sort of trying to do activities together. Before, obviously, in the isolation period, we was very limited in what we could do, but before and after, you've got to do the catch up on those things that you probably weren't able to do through the period of serious illness. Hence Tyson's love for outdoors and everything now. We try and get out and do as much as we possibly can, riding bikes and going fishing and travel and that sort of stuff. So yeah, yeah, we try and spend as much time together as a family. Because Tyson's little brother was actually his donor, so he was sort of just as much responsible for the whole process. So the three of us are fairly close and try and spend a lot of family time together. And yeah, take advantage of those activities that we're now able to do that we weren't able to do prior to Tyson's treatment. But yeah, it's been a hell of a journey. And yeah, we're very lucky to be in a good country with a good medical system. Um, so yeah, but basically I stress to stay off Google. We were told the start. That you not everybody that has a good experience takes to the internet. Sometimes you'll get misinformation, or you'll get people that'll maybe give you a bad perspective on what you're going through. It's daunting enough as it is. I think you need to sort of focus on facts, and if you have any issues, talk to your team, talk to other families that have gone through it or going through it, and bounce off each other, and make educated decisions. Um,
Sorry.
But I real I no, that's okay. We jump back and forward there a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, I believe staying active and burning those endorphins for both parent and child is very, very key, I guess, in trying to keep a settled approach and helps with sleep and things like that. But I realized the importance of meditation through all of this. I started to suffer like considerable anxiety, particularly after the transplant, when everything sort of stopped and it was time to the blinkers came off and tried to go back to work, and it become a very difficult thing to sleep sometimes. And I think breathing exercises and meditation is a very important part of your coping mechanisms. Trying to get outside the four walls when you're in hospital or at home, and get some fresh air. Um, but yeah, I think having your quiet time and being able to vent to friends or people, your peers, like was mentioned earlier, is very important too. People that understand you. And if I had $1 for every time I heard someone say, "Oh, don't worry, he'll grow out of it," I'm like, you don't understand. So it's, yeah, we're all in a very unique position, I guess, and it helps to have people around you that understand what you're going through. But yeah, I believe meditation. The more you do it, the more your mind becomes flexible, and you actually deal with problems a little bit better. So yeah, it's all about sort of remembering that you got to take care of yourself at the end of the day as well, to get your child through what they're going through, I guess. And again, about making good decisions because you've had enough sleep, and you're not stressed out all the time. I think stress can be a huge factor going through something like what we went through. Um, but yeah, it's like napping together was a common thing. When they go down for a sleep, sometimes it's good for you to try and get rest while you can as well, instead of cleaning the house and doing all the things you have to do, taking care of your responsibilities. That can wait sometimes. You've gotta get your rest. So yeah, and look, I'm guilty of staying up late because I'm a night shifter. So sometimes you've got to sort of try and enforce the bedtimes, and all try and go to bed at the same time. Kids, if they know you're still up, they think they're missing out on something. Yeah, it's important, I guess, for everyone to try and get as much rest as they can. Yeah, there's plenty of support on offer in the system in Australia. So it's helpful to take advantage of those counselors, or what if you need to reach out and talk to someone, whether it be you know someone through the hospital, or a psychologist, or sometimes it pays just to vent and get it out, get it off your chest. And yeah, work through it and realize you're not alone. But I've done, yeah, like was mentioned earlier, I've done a little bit of work with Starlight Foundation, Genes for Genes initially, Immune Deficiency Foundation. I think it's important to try and give back to those that were able to provide that vital support at the time that you really needed it. And yeah, I think we're very lucky that to have so many wonderful places to lean on through difficult times, and help us through. You have to take every win. You have to own it. understand your strengths, and you will learn a lot about yourself going through that kind of journey. And acknowledge the ground you've covered and the various skills, coping mechanisms, and skills that you've gained, and allow them to make you stronger. The old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm a strong believer in that. But I think, along the way, we all have to try and stay active and healthy, and take care of yourself as well. Your child might be going through this experience, but you're all going through it with them as well at the same time. So taking care of yourself is key.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing
No
that
problem.
deep dive into, I guess, your world, and how
Yep.
you've come out at the other end learning a lot more about yourself. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
No, you're welcome.
A wonderful reminder, I guess, of practical things that carers can focus on to really make a difference for their own well-being, and to do it together with their child and children. So it's like a joint thing. So thank you so much.
No problem.
And lastly, I just really wanted to remind about our IDFA member support resources, and also launch our new self-care life balance toolkit for members. So at IDFA, we've got available IDFA Carers Connect for carers caring for children and adults with an immunodeficiency, and IDFA Parents Connect for parents living with an immunodeficiency. And both offer opportunities really to share and ask questions, and even just, PM people privately to have a private chat about their world and your world and exchange. And we also have Circle of Support, which is carer peer mentors, which are available to speak to you one-to-one for personal support and areas where you want to, I guess, improve. So any area of self-care, really. And we also have IDFA coffee clubs where members can come along to a local venue of their choice and connect. And these are relaxed member-led spaces where members come along for a cuppa, a chat. And since launching coffee clubs, we've been hosting them in Sydney, Wollongong, Perth, Caboolture and Adelaide. So if you want to meet up with members in your region, reach out to us and we can put a call out for other members to join you and get you set up. And today we're very excited to launch our Member Wellbeing Life Balance Toolkit, which is a series of 5 activity guides to help you reflect and support your awareness for mental wellbeing in various areas of self-care. And they're available in the Publications tab in the IDFA webpage. And our first one is an energy mapping guide to support awareness of personal energy cycles and patterns, to help you map your own energy wheel and perhaps even shift some routines for better balance in your day. And our second sheet is a self-care wheel mapping guide to help build awareness of your current self-care activities and where you might want to focus your efforts, I guess, for a bit better balance in those. And the third life balance sheet is a guide to help reflect on personal feelings and what needs these might indicate for you, and helping you voice those needs and reframing them, I guess, in terms of personal needs as opportunities for you. Our fourth sheet focuses more on creating boundaries for wellbeing, including naming boundaries to prioritise your wellness, being clear on personal importance of what those boundaries are for you for wellness, and awareness of personal risks if you don't have those boundaries, and voicing those boundaries for your own wellbeing. And the last balance guide sheet focuses on building resilience and really navigating the continuum of things like stress, anxiety and overwhelm, with a stress check-in tool that you can use, exploring what resources can look like, responses can look like for you, and building a calming toolkit to build more resilience. So we really hope that these practical guides will empower a deeper dive into some of those areas of life balance to support your personal mental wellbeing and really make a practical difference to your day-to-day quality of life. So you can start somewhere, and there's a step or somewhere there along the way in those 5 sheets, a step that you can take to improve life for you. And also Rare Voices Australia has released a list of useful resources for mental wellbeing, and you can find these by going to the Rare Voices Australia webpage and adding to the search bar the words digital mental health and also mental health and wellbeing. So that all concludes our webinar for this evening, and I wish to thank Wendy and Letitia and Michael for sharing many ideas for us all to reflect on and a better balance of our self-care, particularly with a spotlight on the carer journey. So we really appreciate everyone sharing their thoughts and insights today.